Hello from Beer Australia Reviews, and today I'm back at Brewshed Project Maylands with Chris. Did I say it the right way around this time?
You got it right this time.
That's okay, he keeps on saying Australian Beer Reviews or whatever he says, so never mind. Okay, so if you've seen the last video when we made a home brew, we made a small ale, like a colonial small ale, and so Chris wanted then to do another project, and he says, what would you like? Well, I like lager, so we had a bit of a discussion about the lager to do. Now, I did say that we wanted to do I'd like to do a Pilsner Urquell style, like a Czech lager, a Bohemian lager. However, what happened about the ingredients with that one?
We're a little delayed in getting some of the ingredients over here.
Yeah.
So we've placed an order.
Yeah.
Nothing just hasn't arrived over here yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of everything in the Australia Post for Christmas. So we've been delayed. So instead, today we're going to go with a German wheat beer. Still going to do it as a lager. We're going to use the lager yeast. We're just going to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So now tell us about the first off about the water profile, because the water actually always comes first, doesn't it?
The water always comes first. And last time we did a brew together, you were responsible for the water. So we'll leave it at that. This time I'm responsible for the water, and we used about 90% less salts into the water this time. So you're going to have a really nice flavour water that doesn't taste like gypsum like the last one.
Yeah, so the small ale, the beer itself was perfect as I did the review, but the water, yeah, you can taste the water, but that was down to me. I take full responsibility.
This time you will not taste the water. I've used, I've matched it up with a lager water profile.
Yep.
Again, we've used the reverse osmosis water to strip everything out. And then when we've added in the chemicals like the Epsom salts, the gypsum, we're only putting very small amounts in. But what we didn't do last time, we have done this time, is add some lactic acid, and that's to reduce the pH level down.
Yeah.
So this, yeah, we're just going to drop that down a little bit more than normal.
Yep.
So that's, I'm excited to see this.
Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, I am a big fan of German lagers. If you watch any of my videos, you'll even see me review the odd German lager as well. Just because the water quality is better in Germany, where they make the grain is better. It's temperate climates are where you should make beer, not like subtropical places like this one. But here we are. Right, here's where we live.
Exactly.
Okay. So tell us about the grains that are going into this one then.
I was really fortunate that my local brew shop has a good selection of German grains. Yeah. So we are using a German Pilsner and a German wheat. And in this batch, we're going to be brewing about 23 litres of beer. On that, we're using 5 kilos of grain, and it's an equal 50-50 split between the two of those.
So 50% barley, 50% wheat?
Wheat.
Okay,
yep.
And so is the grain actually imported all the way from Germany?
Yes, it is.
It is,
yeah.
Right. Okay. Pity they couldn't send the water over.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, we're stuck with Australian water. Yeah. Okay, so what was the type of, what was the grain types in that one again?
So we're using a German Pilsner and a German wheat.
German Pilsner, German wheat. Okay, yep. And tell me now about the hops. Which go on.
So the hops that we're going to be using, again, they're German.
Yeah.
And you're the European, so I'll let you explain what that says.
It says hop pellets Halleratu Mitterführer. Okay. Now I can tell you what they're like though. They're very mild, pleasantly and slightly flowery, and they're good for use in lagers and pilsners.
There we go. So I think I've matched up the hops that we'll use. These are just for bittering. Yeah. Not going to get that much aroma out of it. Yeah. It's not going to be dry hopped. We're just going to put some in the boil. Yeah. And after the boil, we'll put a little bit more in there for a short period of time. So they're really just in here for a little bit of bitterness.
Okay, so it's more like a traditional style European beer rather than one of these like New World American or Australian like IPAs and stuff where they throw extra hops in.
No, we're not going the extra. We're not going to anything other than trying to keep this a traditional style, and it's just going in there for the bitterness. Yeah,
excellent. Okay, so tell us about the brew on this one. You said it's like a stage brew.
So this one, though, we're calling it it's a step mash.
Step mash. That's the one.
So we've put the grain in, and as it starts to rise in temperature, you get to a certain temperature, and then you hold that temperature. Yep. And there's a purpose for it. Mm-hmm. The first mash is when we put the grain in, and that goes in at 35 degrees, and then over 10 minutes we then increase that up to 52 degrees. Mm-hmm. At 52 degrees, it stays there for 30 minutes, and that's really a protein rest. And what that's designed to do is it's just to sit in there, it relaxes, and just let the proteins do their work. And what that's going to do is the size of each of the protein, it actually makes them smaller, or it breaks it down.
Okay.
And then as we raise that temperature, we're going to get it up to 63 degrees and then up to 72 degrees. And what that does is it just enables the sugars to be released. And that way we're going to have a better beer. Throughout those steps.
You were telling me before then that this stepped brewing method isn't used much these days.
Yeah, over the last 50 years or so, as they've been able to develop the grain, they've just found that as the grain has matured and they've whatever they've done to make the grain more cost effective to produce, those steps are not really required anymore. And whereas 100 years ago it would have been a necessity, now for the extra work that you put in, you may not even notice it that much. So therefore you could get away with not doing it. But today we're running with a traditional style here, and I thought, why wouldn't you use those steps?
Yeah, great. Okay, well, it's one of the traditions that I really like is traditional beer.
Right?
It's a tradition that we should keep going, so forevermore. So I'm really liking the fact that it's you're not overhopping this one. It's like a milder sort of a thing. So that really floats my boat. That's the best way I'm going to put it today.
And as well, the yeast that we're going to be using. Again, we're going with a very traditional German yeast. It's the Y3470, and this is you can look that one up. This is just used in German beer. When we put it in the fermenter, it ferments between 9 and 13 degrees. That is when this yeast is at its best. So we're going to put it in at 10 degrees, and we're going to let that sit in there for 3 weeks. After that, we're then going to put it into keg, and then we're going to condition that for another 3 to 4 weeks at 2-3 degrees. And in about 6 weeks' time, we'll see how good your review is on your beer.
So we've got to wait so we'll be putting this video out over the next couple of days, but we've got to wait, that's going to be 7 weeks in total then, isn't it? 7 weeks in total before we drink the thing, but stay tuned because we'll definitely be reviewing the thing.
And we'll finish that in the weekend.
Okay, so great. So in that case then, on with the brew.
Thank you.